this planet Earth from the insects, because all the other modern vertebrates or higher invertebrates also, they are quite new if you compare insects, because insect fossils like dragonfly fossils are being found and they are dated back 330 million years ago. So we merely came existence on this earth 1.5 million years ago. So you see that they are here on this planet, they know this planet, and that is why they are so successful. I'll tell you about why insect is a success story. Okay, so next question, Ratwati, how many insect species are there? So I wrote a popular article in our DNHS magazine in 7 8 years back. Magazine is known as Hornbill. So I was that question is there. I was trying to figure out how to say that insect number is infinite and human beings are, we rather really don't know about um, their actual numbers. So I was thinking, and I came across a reference that we know the exact distance from sun to earth, exact distance, a centimeter, or even now because of the laser technologies and so many, even millimeters you can say. We know the distance between earth and moon. We know the how much light uh, takes time to reach to earth from sun. So because these are some of the distance, vast distance, but still we know them to to the most ultimate thing. Like there could be a variation of couple of millisecond only, but otherwise, or millimeter only, but otherwise we know these vast things very accurately. But on our own Earth, we really don't know how many insect species are there, and that's a problem. I am again quoting Dr. Jagdare in his inaugural speech. He rightly said that that's a problem. That's a complicated thing. We don't know and we don't know that's the problem. Okay, so the first, you know, you can say the father of systematics, Carlos Linnaeus. He started his um, monumental work of Systema Naturae, and in 1758 he listed 200 insect species. So there were other people who were also trying to identify, classify, and to devise a system where all these things can be fitted. But I think Carl Linnaeus was the most genius person who devised a very robust system which is still standing strong, and we are following that only. Okay, so on that at in 1758 there were only 2000 insects known to human beings as in a human literature, formally described. Let's come forward 1883, almost 120 years after 120 years. Ray, he was a British entomologist. He listed almost 20,000 species. So I have taken a few important events only. Chronologically, there are a number of events. And in 2000, okay, there are more than 10 millions of insects. Okay, so now what we scientists believe is the number which we know, or the number of formally described insects on this planet is a fraction. It could be just 10% of total uh, uh, diversity. Okay, uh, and there is no formal uh, system or any organization uh, where the entire database is kept. Yeah, of course, now there are a lot of digital efforts being made, but people who are engaged in taxonomy, they know that there are a lot of problems itself in the taxonomy also. So till right now, we don't have uh, right number of this insect. Okay, so in this first volume of Carlos Linnaeus, he enlisted 28 species of Indian insects. Let's now come back to India. Okay, so If you are interested, please go on Wikipedia and learn about Carlos Linnaeus and his work, and that's something very inspirational thing. Now, uh, let's have a word perspective about all the life forms on this earth. So there are 30 million species are found worldwide, of which 1.5 million have been briefly described. Okay, so that's a contradictory statement, but that is the truth. Now, this kingdom Animalia is represented by almost 15.5 lakh species that have described so far globally. And the phylum Arthropoda alone consists of almost 12 lakh 42,000 species. And this number is growing because my reference is not recent. It was 10 years back, but it's okay. You can see of all animals, arthropoda is the bulk. You can say it's almost 80-85%. And insects basically describe 75% of all described animal species. And this is not only rich in variety of forms, colors, shapes, but also if you see the ecological adaptations, they are excelled by any other group. I'll give you examples. I'll tell you about most interesting facts. But yes, they are there everywhere. They are on the land, in the water, on the trees, in the trees, on the animals, in the animals, and variety of forms. The smallest insect is a fairy fly, ranging from 0.12 millimeter, and the largest insect is a stick insect from Malaysia, who is more than 2 feet. So that's a range. Color and all will just see. And hello, please, if someone someone's someone's mic is open, please mute yourself. And the most successful insect order is Coleoptera. We'll see about it later on. So come back to the Indian scenario. There are around 1,27,000 species of plants, animals, and microorganisms have been reported so far from India. Uh, in old days, in 1909, Lefroy and Hammett, it's a very monumental book, Indian Insect Life. Every entomologist, in his early stage of career comes across this thing, and if you haven't looked into it, please go on Google and type Indian Insect Life, and I think two copies are now freely available. But that is something monumental work, and where 25,406 species so far reported on this time. Now, in modern terms, also Varshney in 1997 reported 1,450 species. Alfred in 1998 reported 59,000 species. And presently, there are approximately 64,000 species in the 27 orders. And the eight orders like Coleoptera, beetles, Lepidoptera, moths and butterflies, Orthoptera, grasshoppers, crickets, Diptera, the flies, Hymenoptera, fruit bugs, Odonata, dragonflies and lanternflies, Hymenoptera, bees, wasps, and ants, and Hymenoptera, springtails. These consist of 94% of insect fauna in India. The remaining 20 orders are represented by small numbers, like 6% of all species. Again, this is a quite old reference, but yeah, that numbers are still true and they're increasing. Okay, so this is something within an Indian scenario. There are six different uh, orders which are prominently seen in insects. Now, as I told you that in this world there are 31 different orders of insects in class Hexapoda. And depending upon their development, they are divided into two groups of Pterygota and Pterygota, winged insects and primitive insects. They are not wingless, but primitive insects. And Thysanera bristle is the one example from of terracotta. And terracotta, there are examples which are commonly seen around us, very vivid examples. Today, it's not possible to even touch 31 orders. That's inhuman task. I'll at least need 2 months, lecture series to just touch on each and every order. But let's see, very common examples from some examples from Odonata, Diptera, Blackadea, Orthoptera, Hymenoptera, Hemiptera, Lepidoptera, and Coleoptera. Now, the next, of course, task is how to identify insects. Now, this is the most difficult task. Uh, it's easy to see an insect. It's rather different task to catch an insect and to get a key to identify and classify that insect is again that's the next level task. So first, for identification, you need some visual clues. Either you need a photograph or insect in front of you, in your hand, in your lab, in research condition. So for insects collection, you of course require special permissions from the government if you are working in protected areas, or you have to approach the state border city authority for that matter. And once you get the proper permissions, you can collect this insect for research and um, academic purpose. And there are different key characters. First is wing. By looking at the wing, you can differentiate between different kinds of insects. We today will only touch on order level and in some cases prominent family things only, because that's the only thing I can cover within 1 and 1.5 hours. Okay, so these are the some commonly seen insect forms. Okay, by by seeing their wings, you can distinguish, you can segregate insect into different forms. Okay, so Beetles, you can see the wings are shield-like or sheath-like or armored wings. So in case of Beetles, the wings, the first pair of wings, four wings, is modified into a shield armor-like structure which covers its abdomen. Okay, so that this is the first Beetle. This is the head, this is the thorax, and this is abdomen, which is covered by the wings. This is the forewings. Here, this is the bugs or Hemiptera. Now, here wings are totally different, and again, the key character for bugs. It's not the character, but of course, you can see a V shape on their wings. So this uh, set aparts bugs from other insects. Grasshoppers, again, wings are body colored or transparent in some cases, and they again cover the entire body and extend beyond even abdomen. So these are grasshoppers. Earwigs, they have tiny wings in some cases, in some cases fully developed wings. In case of wasp, wings are hymen-like, sheet-like. In case of butterfly, you can see very vivid, prominently fluttering creatures, butterflies and moths. We'll discuss more about them in their respective slides. And flies, which are again very common. Here, the wing structure is different. The first pair of wings is transparent membrane-like, and the second pair is a halter-like structure. So, what's the structure? It's a miniature structure, uh, like a pin. So there is a knob at the end, very a few millimeter long structure, and it's work as a gyroscope. So whenever it flies, because it's a rapid fire, it needs some device which can stabilize it. The second character which we use is mouth part. So now you can understand. Okay, so all the insects with of which first pair of wings is uh, converted into sheet-like structure, you can group them into a beetle and like that. So Same goes with the mouth parts. There are different kinds of mouth parts. So all their shape, structures, color, mouth part, and all these adaptations are basically based on habit and habitat, what they eat and where they live. So that determines all these characters. We as a human being, we are bipedal and upright structure. It is because of our living. It's because of our habit and habitat. The cranial structure is because of what we eat, and the upright position because how we live. So that's the evolution. Okay, so each and every organism go through that kind of evolution, and it's possess best characters. So piercing and sucking kind of mouth parts are there. Sharp needle-like structures, mosquitoes. I'm sure that everyone has experienced how mosquito bite is, or true bugs in some cases. They are predators. In case of house fly, the mouth parts are of um, sponging type. They are sponge-like, so they regurgitate the material on their food item because they can't chew or they can't suck. So they regurgitate the gut content on the food, and then they tap it with their mouth parts and they just engulf, take it. In case of butterflies and moths, mouth parts are siphoning type or straw-like. And in case of grasshoppers, beetles, praying mantis, they are chewing type. So they literally chew, tear apart the prey or food and eat. You know, Likewise, you can use antennas to classify different kinds of insects. You can see that there are different kinds of antennas, serrated antennas, monoliform antennas, feather-like antennas, and so on. So I'm not going to dive deep into all these things, but these are the key characters. How we use when we get insects under microscope or in our hand. So these are the first visual clues like body form, uh, you know, uh, wings, and so on, which gives us clue. Okay, what it is, and then there are keys. Concentrating keys for characters by which we can go ahead and ahead, like phylum, say order to family, family to subfamily, and so on. So you have to see that whether that particular character is there. Yes, that's it's a kind of a, uh, command chain only. So if it is there, okay, go for the next. I think chemistry students know how the testing is done, and even zoology students know how we do this thing. So these are similar type of exercises. Even legs are there, different kinds of, again, where they live, what they eat, how they behave, depending upon that. There could be walking kind of legs, there could be grasping kind of legs. In case of praying mantis, their legs, that first pair of legs is um, modified into grasping kind of these things. Then there could be pollen carrying eggs, there could be digging eggs, mole cricket, very good example. I hope it's common, mostly around the and where there's a water going from drainage है वहाँ पे मिलता है, around your homes also. Then there could be jumping kind of leg modification, like in case of grasshoppers, or in case of aquatic forms, it could be swimming and grasping kind. So these are the different kinds of uh, key characters. And again, now in case of, for example, in case of grasshoppers, if you want to study grasshoppers into their different subfamily level, then you have to see the key characters, how their um, head structure is, what are the key structure of their uh, thorax, whether particular ridge is there, whether hairs are present at particular level, how many spines on a leg. In case of grasshopper, there are spines on inside of the leg and outside of the leg. So that could be even, that could be uneven. There could be more in outer side, more in inner side. So depending upon all these permutation combinations, you have to go through all these key, and then finally you come to know about its species or genus. Now, so far, I hope you have got a good grasp of this subject. That this is nearly impossible, to discuss all these things. But let's see that that key orders are there, and um, I sincerely think after today's lecture, even if you are able to distinguish between orders of the insect, key 7, 8 orders of the insect, then I'm sure that this lecture will be the successful one, because we can't simply do that, because for next kind of identification we literally need hands-on training where um, you need to have a microscope and insect in your hand, and you are looking through microscope and doing all character marking, and then only you can go ahead. But let's keep ourselves some achievable target in the
Sir,
day. Yes,
can you please hide that Google Meet pop-up?
just okay. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you, sir.
yeah. So let's come to the first and most interesting order of insects, Lepidoptera. No, that's a technical term, but as I promised you that I'll try to explain all these terminologies. So ptera means wings. Whenever this word is coming, ptera, that represents wings. Lepidoptera is nothing but scale wings. I'll show you one more slide afterwards. So in this particular order, the members of this order are moths and butterflies. Yeah, one of the most studied group in in the world. You can say there are more than 15,000 butterflies and moths so far recorded throughout the world. There are around 1,500 species of butterflies found in India. Uh, One of the most studied group, I would say, and British Army officers and Britishers played a crucial role in identifying and classifying most of the Indian insects, Indian butterflies, and the most amazing thing about this particular group is in insect world, uh, very few groups have vernacular names or say common English names. But this particular group, Lepidoptera or butterflies, Indian butterflies, almost all species, not subspecies, but species, they possess a common English name. For example, tiger butterflies, leopard butterflies. And there is very interesting thinking behind giving common names also. There's some interesting facts I'm just sharing with you. So it is said that Indian researchers have shown the world how to name butterflies, aptly named scientifically as well as vernacular or common English names. So there are certain names here from animals like tigers, leopards, crows. These are the common names of butterflies. If you just pick up any book on Indian butterflies, you will come to know of their form shapes. There are certain names there from European princely system, for example, barons, baronet, duchess, dukes, and so on. Many of the Britishers who studied butterflies were British army officers. So there are even army ranking common names like Lasker, Sergeant, Havaldar, and so on. Their names were from Indian princely system like Rajas, Nawabs, Prince, and even funny names like Duffers and Joker. So these are the common names of Indian butterflies. So Lepidoptera is simply in simple terms, their wings are covered in a scale in microscopic scales. Scales as in case of snakes or uh, 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 um, fish. You know, if you ever have touched any butterfly or moth, you'll see a powdery things comes on your fingertips. So these are the microscopic scales. Okay, and their mouthparts, as I told you, are in case of caterpillar, they are chewing type, and in case of adult, they are siphoning type or straw-like. Now, next term is metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is nothing but transformation. So all insects undergoes a different kind of life stages. So it starts with egg, then larva, pupa, and adult. So if all these four stages are there, we call it as complete metamorphosis. This can be seen in case of moths and butterflies. Adults lay eggs, eggs develop or eggs hatch into caterpillars. They are voracious feeders. Then they form a cocoon or chrysalis in case of butterflies, and then they are transformed into winged adults. So this is a complete kind of change. Like the larva is totally different from an adult. And there's another term will come across that is incomplete metamorphosis. So incomplete metamorphosis. Okay, so there are no four stages of life cycle. Only three stages like eggs, larvae, and adult. Okay, or in some cases we call that sub-adult because they are just like adults, except their wings and reproductive systems are not developed. And that the example is of course cockroach. You can see cockroach eggs, a tiny cockroach which looks like a adult one, but it is devoid of wings or reproductive system. But otherwise, it's an adult. It grows into an adult. There is no resting or cocoon kind of stage. So that is metamorphosis, and there are two types. Of course, there are subtypes also, but just don't get into complete metamorphosis. That is complete transformation. Incomplete metamorphosis, like there are only three stages, and sub-adult or younger one looks exactly like adult. And they comes in various forms. The smallest butterfly in the world, probably, of course, there are debates, found in India, a grouse jewel. Largest butterfly is found in Papua New Guinea, a wing, which is almost 11 inches wingspan. So that's how they are diverse. Um, that's all about the Lepidoptera. Now, the most important question is how to differentiate between butterflies and moths because they appear similar and sometimes we don't know. In some cases, like we know, but in some cases there are mimicry patterns, and some moths exactly look like butterflies, so colorful, and there are some butterflies which are so dull they exactly mimic the moth. So there are some certain key characters of which determines which set apart the moth from butterfly. First and the most important is their wing position. Butterflies, when they rest, they hold their wing vertically close to each other. Okay, you must have seen when butterfly sits, it holds its wing vertically close to each other. Okay, and the moth, when it rests, it rest is wing horizontally, like a roof. Okay, so that's the one uh, character. But of course, there are certain exceptions for that in North and this also. So the next is body. You can say a body in case of butterfly is more slender, and in case of a moth, it's more robust. That's again exception. But the confirmatory test is their antenna. In case of a moth, the antenna is feather-like. Here you can see a feather-like antenna, or just straight hair-like structure. Just straight hair-like structure. There are only two kinds of antenna in case of one, just like a feather kind of structure, or just straight hair-like structure. In case of butterflies, the antenna is straight hair-like with a knob or bulging at the end, or hook at the end. I think I have photo. Yeah, here you can see a butterfly with a knob at the end and a butterfly with a hook at the end. So this is the most important confirmatory test which sets apart moth and butterfly. And the fourth one could be like their activity pattern. Moths are active at late night, dusk and dawn, and butterflies are active throughout the day. Okay, but again, there are some certain day-flying moths which mimics butterflies, so that can create a confusion. But of course, moths get attracted mostly to the light, so that you can see during the rainy season, pre-rainy season, post-monsoon, a lot of moths get attracted to the lights to each and every household. So, as I told you that these are generally butterflies are generally diurnal, means vertical at rest, and moths are vertical at night. antenna with knob or hook at the end. And I was telling you about the why they are known as Lepidoptera, because here in the wings, all the structure are nothing but these cells. So because their antennas are covered with scales, that is why they are known as Lepidoptera. No other order in insect possesses this kind of structure. That's the key character setting this order apart from all other insect orders. This is how we classify. This is how we identify insects. Not it's simple, though it is not rocket science, but it is complex, complicated, but it is logical. You have to see, you have to keep your ears open, you have to observe, and you have to deduce a logical conclusion. That makes a good, um, systematics, a good taxonomic worker. So you have to have a very logical thinking in that case. Okay, so in case of butterflies, again, all the butterflies are divided into five families. First is Papilionode or swallowtail butterflies. Why swallowtail? Because if you see, the hind wing has a tail-like structure. Here, 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 here. That is why swallowtails. So these are the very colorful, and in these papillonaries, wings are extraordinarily variable in shape. You can see different kinds of shapes in all these examples. And with frequently with tails, not always, but yes. And uh, the tail structure could be slender or broad or spatulate, like a spatula. The first example is common red Apollo, found in Himalayas. The common rose, found everywhere, even in garden, even in daffodils. White dragon tail, restricted to northeast India and Himalayas. Bhutan glory. Bhutan glory is confined to Bhutan and Himalayan foothills. And five or solitary, again confined to not find in everywhere, but not so common also. So all these butterflies and all, or even all insects, before I forget, all these are insects, not all, many of the insects are protected by Indian Wildlife Act 1972. Many of these individuals share Schedule 1. So in that case, there are Schedules 1, 2, 3. Schedule 1 is the highest protection status given. Schedule 1 contains elephants, tigers, and these kind of charismatic animals who need extreme protection. And there are certain even insects are there which are in Schedule 1, like Bhutan glory or Kaisa Ehin. These are the butterflies which are protected by law and they are put in Schedule 1. So depending upon their habitat, they will be fine. So these are confined to uh, good forested areas. Most of the papillionidae are confined to good forested area, but can be seen in gardens and forest clearing paths also. Piridae is whites and yellows. The key character is they are mostly white or yellow in color. Dominant color is white or yellow. So that's why they are known as whites and yellows. Piridae. Uh, Here you can see hind wing. There is no tail on the hind wing, no tail, and four legs are fully developed. You can see three pairs of legs. In one group, I'll show you why I'm telling you that right now. So there is one group where brush-footed butterflies, where first pair is modified. Okay, uh, so and this hind the abdomen completely fits into hind wings. Okay, so most of these butterflies are common in garden and uh, you know um, in degraded areas, basically degraded areas. Many like chocolate albatross, you can find mud puddling. Where there's a mud and water, they come in large number for puddling. Okay? Common Jezebel is found in Konkan region also. Crimson Peak is found in uh, not common in Konkan, but common on areas like Solapur and all. Common immigrant is common everywhere. So these are the examples of the second family. The third family is Nymphalidae, or they are known as brush-footed butterflies. Here you can see, if you see closely, you can see only four legs. You know, you can ask me, sir. You just told that the key character of insect is having three pairs of legs. But why it is so? Why these are placed in insects? So basically, what happens here? The first pair is modified, very tiny. Okay, and it is there, but it's not visible right now. Okay, so that is, these are the nymphalidae. This is the largest family, most species diverse. They range from medium to large, and um, four leg is reduced in many cases. Okay, um, the key character is most of the time they held their wings no, horizontal, like this tiger. If you have seen this tiger feeding or taking nectar from the flower, you can see at resting position wings are open, they're not closed. Okay, and many a times underwing, that is the underside of the wing, is contrasting to the upper side. So this is again, it could be dull in the color. Okay, so Malabar tree nymph is found in Western Ghats, recorded from Pune also, but more common in the down south, South Maharashtra, Western Ghats, and downward. Plain tiger, it's very common, found everywhere. This is a joker butterfly. I'm telling you that there are different kinds of names to given to. It's found in Maharashtra. Leopard racing is found in Western Ghats again. Blue pansy, very common. Common four-ring, very common in most of the places. Best time to see butterflies is morning at the sunrise, or if it is raining, then when cloud uh, cover clears and when there is a sunlight coming, that's the best time when the activity increases. Next is Lycinidae. These are known as blues because prominent color of their body is blue. Okay. Um, Here also, in case of male, the forelegs are reduced. Uh, uh, they are metallic. They possess some metallic sheen also on their wings. Okay, and they are also common in most of the places. Common imperial, it's not found here. Common silver line is common in Maharashtra, in our part also. Sunbeam is also very common in Konkan region. Yam fly is also common in Konkan region, especially in monsoon. Common tit is not found that commonly, but plain scooped uh, other butterflies like pea blue and bubble blue, they are very common in our areas also. So, so they possess metallic colors also in some cases. Now here you can see this yam fly is orangish yellow color, and this common teat is metallic blue in color. But here also the underside of wing is contradicting too. Now this common imperial also having bright yellow color inside, but underside is white in color. So all these colors are basically are used to for the protection. Okay, each and every shape color has some role to play in the in survival of that particular individual. Now, for example, I don't have right now the example in front of me, but there is also one butterfly known as Calima horsfieldi, or blue oak leaf butterfly. It's rare in Konkan, not so common. But the underside of this butterfly is just like a dry leaf. Okay, you can Google, you can just write down somewhere, and later on you can Google blue oak leaf butterfly. Blue oak leaf butterflies, sometimes also known as dead leaf butterflies, because the underside of the wing is like a dead um, leaf. Okay, so what happens when a predator chase these butterflies? They go somewhere and where there are a lot of twigs or dry leaves are there, and they sit there. You know, and they literally get merge into the background. And in cases like this, where like sharp metallic colors are there, what happens? Suppose this butterfly is sitting like this, and a predator, a frog or lizard approaches from behind, and if this butterfly is alert enough, it suddenly opens its wing. So from nowhere, there is a flash of blue color in front of eyes of this predator. So this is how dull colors or even bright colors are used for the protection. Okay, and there is also a very different game of chemistry and physics going on. In case of yam flies, like here, or in case of sunbeam, this color is because of the pigment, like melanin. It is there from the food. But here, in case of metallic butterflies, common teeth, this is not because of the uh, pigment, but it is because of the arrangement of the scales on the wing. So this is refraction and reflection of light. So the scales are structured and arranged in such a way that all the incoming incidental light is get absorbed and a particular wavelength, it could be shiny blue or green, is given out. So it's a very interesting game of physics is going on here. This is how they use chemistry and physics for their survival. And these are the metal marks. I'll just increase my speed. Uh, uh, Rhodinidity, metal marks, have like colors. There's one example, plum jury is very common in Konkan region. Other butterflies are not found in this part of the country. Okay, so these are the metal marks. So here only one example. So each and every family has its own character by which you can identify them. Of course, for that, you need to get your hands on a particular scientific publication or a book where all these things are mentioned. And the last group is Hesperidae as skippers, the old primitive kind of butterflies, and they are named, the skippers are named, the common name is because of their quick or darting flight. Okay, they are like 1 second they are here and next second they are gone, like that. So here, in this particular entire family, the antennas are hook tip. Okay, the tip of antenna is converted into a hook-like structure. Okay, so this is the character of this particular family. Water snowflat is common, not so common in India, but I have seen more in Sindhurga than Ratnagiri. Tamil grass rat is also there. Indian owl king is not common in degraded areas, but found in good forested areas. Swift, and they are there. Rice swift and all these are very common. Grass demon is also common in our area. Chestnut angle is not so common, but it's there. So these are the few examples of this family. Again, I'm saying these are the only few represented examples. They are so vast, they are so complicated. There are certain genera of dung beetles where there are more than 200 species clubbed together in one, you know, genus. You can imagine 200 species in one genus. It's literally impossible to make one apart from other. The most, the closest relatives of butterflies is of course moths. Again, we have to see their antenna and we have to determine whether it is a butterfly or a moth. Okay, feather-like, or comb-like, or feather-like structure. Now, this structure is basically a sensory organ. All this because insects communicate with each other with either by sound or by pheromones, and there could be different kinds of pheromones like communication pheromone, sex pheromone, alerting pheromone, and so on. So, so, so the more developed antenna, you can you can say that the more adapted this mod for the sensory receptors. Okay, so in case of the largest moth found in India is Atlas moth. It's belong to the silk moth family, and also there is one species Attacus staphylobanica found in the Western Ghats also. In our region also, during this particular season, you can see a very large butterfly. Very large moth comes out with orange color. The adult lifespan is very very short, just for a couple of days only, because in case of all silk moths, there is no digestive system, no mouth part. All silk moths never feed during the adult life. The feeding is takes place uh, during the caterpillar stage. and it is there. There are papers which says which proves that a female, when she emerged from the cocoon, she start emitting the pheromones, and a male can detect these pheromones from a couple of miles, 2 to 3 miles, 4 kilometers from that distance. So because these chemicals are very stable in air, so they create a you know thin kind of uh, pathway, and that uh, moth, with its antenna that detects its path, it's like a shark hunting in the ocean, so like that. So these antennas are very, very important. This is the Atticus staphylococcus found in our area. Uh, Many of the times in the paper you can see wrongly mentioned that a rare butterfly is captured. It's not a butterfly; it's a moth. Okay, these are other examples of moth found in our area. This is the owlet moth because of these two eye-like structures, owlet moth. Okay, and this was a photograph I captured mostly 10 years back in Tadoba. So, a hawk moth feeding, how it feeds. Okay, here is the moth hovering and probing its long proboscis into a marigold plant. It's like a mid-air air fueling kind of structure, procedure. Okay, very quick. So if you keep your eyes open in the evening time, if there are flowers, you can see these kind of moths. And if you have a camera, you can shoot like this. Coleoptera is the most dominant group of insects on this planet. Basically, it says that for every four animal on this earth, there is one beetle. So one-fourth of all animals are beetles. So that could be different kinds of beetles. Basically, beetles include two: beetles and weevils. Now, weevils are like this. Their mouth parts are like this. It's like a elephant trunk. Okay. Uh, so this is a weevil. So this is one group, and all the rest are beetles. Okay. So there could be different kinds of beetles. Could be blister beetles, boll weevils, tiger beetles, dermisted beetle, dung beetle. So more common families are the don't have here, but of course the ground beetles, the leaf beetles, the longhorn beetles, jewel beetles, and dung beetles. All these are the dung beetles. First is dung beetles. This is a leaf beetle, sometimes known as ladybird beetle. This is a longhorn beetle. They are considered as a pest. You can see horns means the antennas are very long, and they form their own separate families. Okay, so these are the ground beetles. These three are the ground beetles, and this is a white grub, the larvae of a dung beetle. Okay, this is a six-spotted ground beetle. Mm, their mouth parts are of chewing type, and in case of weevil, they are piercing type. Again, many of the weevils are pest of store grains. Many of the but these longhorn beetles are the pest of forest. Here, metamorphosis is complete, and as I told you that for every four animals on this planet, there is one beetles. They are so diverse. Okay, blister beetles like this, they can secrete chemicals which can cause blistering of the skin. So sometimes you must have experience that when a beetle or bug or insect get crushed by a hand or somewhere, it causes a burning sensation, and many of times it causes a blister, uh, water filled blister. So these are the things which are responsible for that. Okay, so major five or six families are there. Dung beetles like this, they roll the dungs, and they lay their eggs into these dung balls, and that's how the larva gets food, and they develop into adults. So this is about the beetles. Okay, these are again. This is one of the blistering beetles, very common in our area also during the monsoon season. As I told you, beetles are sheath wing. The wings cover their body. So here you can see this is the first pair, and here inside there is the second pair. This is the second pair, which is a sheath leg, which is actually helps this beetle into the flying. The first pair is only meant for protection. Okay, this is the flower butter, again very common. Next part is Odonata. This contains only two groups, dragonflies and damselflies. Dragonflies, very easy to identify between a dragonfly and damselfly. See, this is a dragonfly. When it rests, it holds its wing vertical, okay, sorry, horizontal. And this is a damselfly. When it sits, it holds its wing uh, vertical. So in Marathi, we call it as tatsani, and this is like helicopter or chatur. So in case of chatur, there are two groups, dragonflies and damselflies. Also, their larvae also differ in in structure. In case of damselflies, there are three kinds of size are present, and body is elongated or abdomen is elongated. And dragonflies larvae are the predators. Most interesting part is that the adult lay eggs into water. So first entire year uh, is spent in the water, and the eggs develop into this kind of larva, and they are predators. These larvae are known as tigers of the lakes because they can eat larger fish. Also, they are dominant hunters. Here also metamorphosis is complete. Okay, and uh, as I told you that the first fossil records of insects are, of course, of dragonflies. So these are the key characters. There are around 464, 465 species of dragonflies are there. Dragonflies and damselflies are there in India. If you just search dragonflies and damselflies of India, there are quite a good e-books are available on internet. The earliest I used was Dragonflies of Western Ghat and Sri Lanka, which gives a pictorial guide, so that you just see a dragonfly and then come back and see what is there, how what is the color, and you can identify it. So again, very well studied groups. Again, all these are the dragonflies and damselflies. You can see damselflies, they are holding their wings vertically, like this, one, two, three, and dragonflies, they hold their wings horizontally, and they're predators. They are the hunters. The only group which is carnivorous. Entire order is carnivorous. Hymenoptera. This contains three groups: bees, wasps, and insects. Okay, uh, very interesting group, Hymenoptera. Okay, these are the social group of insects, except termites. Termites are now put or clubbed with uh, uh, this cockroach family, Blattidae. They are now placed in Blattidae. But otherwise, all these three groups, bees, wasps, and ants, and termites, they are eusocial insects. Termites are not Hymenoptera, but other three consist of Hymenoptera. Now, why these are known as social insects? Because this is the group which this is the group which started living together, and they started forming colonies. So very interesting living pattern, very interesting housing pattern, and so on. So there are different kinds of wasp and all. In our area, we can see bar wasp and mud wasp. In case of honeybees, there all three types of honeybees are found in our region. Rock honeybees is the largest honeybees, and they build very large honeycombs. The Indian honeybees, which is used for apiculture, and the small honeybee, which is the smallest in size, and also forms also prepares the smallest size of um, uh, the honeybee, hive. So these are the three groups of bees. Wasp, again, different kinds of wasps are there. Ichneumon wasps are there, pigs wasps are there, uh, thread-breasted wasps are there. There are certain wasps which kills other um, uh, spiders, and then the most common which you must have seen are the uh, mud wasp, which prepares their house using a mud and yeah, like this mud wasp. And the other one is by using uh, paper. They chew the vegetative matter and they prepare a paper-like structure and they prepare their houses. Okay, so this is a mutilated wasp. This is a bumblebee. This is a carpenter bee. This is very common. Xylocarpa. It's a group which is in countryside. You can see this is piercing the household. This thing. Uh, they make holes in the the wood used for house. So it is also considered pest. So mouth parts are chewing type and complete metamorphosis is there. So just remember in case of Hymenoptera, hymen means sheath-like wings. The wings are like a sheet. There is no other. In case of the ants and all, there are no wings. But in case of ants, the queen and king possess wings before the nuptial flight. So when they emerge, they are wings. These things, but then they shed their wings. Otherwise, all the wasp and all they possess wings, and these are the only venomous basically animals. For their defense, they have stings and they inject venom into the body. Okay, there's a lot of things I can tell you about Hymenoptera. But it is truly said that we have learned a lot of things from the insect, and these few are uh, from them, like housing, how to build a house, hexagonal structure of a beehive, or paper wasp or mud wasp. Now, mud wasp here in this case, what it does, it creates a mud-like structure. It is go out and hunt a spider. It stings a spider is so precisely that spider never dies for next couple of days or couple of weeks. It stay alive, but in a dormant position. It's like a operation के पहले सर injection देते हैं, but animal human being never dies, but they are in a deep sleep kind of thing. So the venom is used so precisely, they put them into a deep sleep, then they lay their eggs. Eggs develop, and when the eggs develop, there is a ready food material, live food material available. Okay, so they are so adapted. So this is the very interesting structure. And in case of termites, also I haven't covered termite, but in case of termites, the termitarium is so impressively built that there are different kinds of chambers, there are highways, there are storage areas, and there are good ventilation system. In case of ground termites, the outside temperature and the inside ambient temperature, there could be a difference of 10 degrees. So it's much cooler. And though there are millions of termites are living, there's a well ventilated system and so on. So these are very interesting things we have learned from the insects. True bugs are very easy to identify. As I told you, this is a V-shaped mark. Okay, in most of the cases, here, here, here also, here also on the wings. So these are the true bugs. There are different kinds of bugs. This is the Assassinian bug, known as Assassinian because it kills, hunts down other bugs, other insects, and eats it. There are leaf-footed bug also, stink bugs. This is a stink bug, very common. Uh, there are different kinds of there. Uh, Piercing and sucking type, many of them are considered as a pest, agricultural pest. Metamorphosis is incomplete, and as I told you, that there is a V-shaped structure on their body. So there's a confusion between a beetle and a bug. Okay, here you can see there is no except this. This is the exception. This is a flea bug. Okay, uh, where the first pair of wing is short, but here also you can see a V-shaped structure. So in case of uh, beetles, you can see there are two wings and there's a line dividing these two wings, and it starts right at the thorax. If it is there, something like that, you just see whether there is a V or not, and you are good to go. So these are the true bugs. Again, there are uh, thousands of species are reported from India. So let's not go into there. We will have some other time different series for each and every order, maybe in future, and we'll discuss that in detail. Okay, and these are other examples. This is a cicada. Okay, and the armored scale insects. These are the thrips, plant hoppers, white flies, cushion scale insects, white flies, and so on. So most of them, many of them are no, most of them in this they suck the plants. That's why they're considered as a pest. This is another example. Here you can see there is a V. It's not a beetle because there is no line like this, which is separating two wings. Orthoptera. Ortho means straight. In chemistry, that term is recognized as ortho position. Wings are straight. That's why ortho position. Orthoptera, ortho, straight wing. Wings, when they open, they are straight. Okay. In this case, there are three groups: crickets, short-horn grasshoppers, and long-horn grasshoppers. So this is the cricket. It's common around the houses, in the houses, and in the field also. This is a short horn grasshopper. Horn means again antenna. Here the antenna are short, and these are the long. Actually, sorry, the antenna is not fully visible. But in case of long horn antenna, antennas are as long as their body. So it could be like this long antenna. Okay. So these are the three groups. Only three, uh, categories are there. So they are known as locust, the small short-horn grasshopper, and the long-horn grasshopper known as catidids. So they are again chewing kind of mouthparts, incomplete metamorphosis. They are best when locust swarms are there. Last year there was a news of locust swarm from Rajasthan, Delhi, and parts of Gujarat. It came from Arabia. So yeah, locust swarm are again getting very common in India. And the most interesting thing is these are the animals which can produce sound by stridulating. Stridulating means the hind wing and forewing. The hind wing and forewing they have a stridulation kind of structure, a file-like structure. So these file-like structures are rapidly scrubbed on each other, and that's why um, they can produce that kind of sound. In case of cicada, they produce that sound by inhalation and exhalation of air. Okay, so they here there is no that kind of structure, but here there is a stridulation, a file-like structure on both the wings, which rapidly, when rapidly moved, it creates that sound. Okay, some other examples of these grasshoppers and crickets. You can see many of them are literally impossible to uh, you know set apart from the this thing. So this is how colors are used for the protection. This is a cave cricket, and this is a locust. This is the diptera. Again, only a couple of slides are there now. Diptera are the flies. Flies, midgets, mosquitoes, diseases. So flies and mosquitoes are clinically most studied groups of insect. You can see there are house flies. This is a house fly. This is a crane fly, or sometimes known as daddy long leg. So in bathroom you can see them. If it is an open kind of bathroom, you can see daddy long legs there. This is a flower fly or sylphid, sorry, hover fly or sylphid. This is a tachinid fly. Boat flies are there, and deer flies are there. Mosquitoes are there. Raspberries are there. Okay, so these are all different kinds of this thing. Uh, in case of except mosquito, the mouth parts are sponging type. In case of mosquito, they are piercing in sucking type. So all these are the different examples of very easy to set apart from other insects. Mostly legs are uh, like spiders only and colorful. And the most interesting character which you have to see if you get confused, see there's only one pair of wings which is visible. There are no four wings. There are only two wings, only one pair. Everywhere you can see. In all other cases, you can see in case of Neuroptera, even in case of Odonata, four wings. So these are the dipteras. Neuroptera, nerve wings. Again, there are two or three grouping. One is green lace wings and antlines. Okay, so this is, I think everyone has seen this, but very few people know what is this. Okay, so this is a um, um, antline larva. How this is the larva, this is the adult. So this is the structure. This larva builds and it stays over here. And what happens when mostly ants cross this thing? This sand gets this slides and directly falls over here, and that ant is picked up by the strong jaws, deadly jaws of this larvae. So uh, I remember playing with this. If you just uh, clear all this thing, you can see this fellow hiding over here. Okay, so blow air over here and clear everything, and you'll find this. Don't disturb insects, by the way. But yeah, this is how it looks. So what is this? This is nothing but the home of larvae of this antler. These are not so common, but these are if you are roaming in the mm, mm, grasses, you will find these things in drier season of the year. Uh, this is how the other larva lives and build their houses. And this is the nesting. Okay, this is how they lay the eggs. This is an egg on a stalk. They are predators, and this is a nesting. Okay, all the this neuropter is considered as beneficial because they are the predators and they check so neuroptera, nerve like wings. Wings are having nerve like structure. That's why neuroptera. Okay, so I hope we have covered most of the topic, and there's some serious discussion we need to do, like what is the future prospect now. We are saying that there are so many insects that really we don't even know about the 10% of their diversity. Secondly, a lot of factors like deforestation, environmental degradation, and these are making insects endangered. Okay, so if we are not protecting the environment, we will lose many of the insects. Current estimated rate of extinction on this planet is 75%. Nonetheless, the number is quite high. Even there is a variation, but yeah, this is the time which we start thinking. What is the use of insect? What is the use of insect? You can tell, you can ask me, like, you said so many things, but these are nuisance. Cockroaches and mosquitoes, they are biting. No, it's not like that. Basically, I can underline the importance of insects in couple of lines, couple of words. Most of the pollination is done by insects, if not all. Even if we consider 50% of pollination is done by insects, so that means more than half what we eat are insect number instinct from this planet. Our own existence will be in question. I don't think human race will be able to survive next for the next beyond next 6 months, because there will be no food. We can't do pollination in that scale. Okay, of course other means of pollination are there: water, air, other mammals, birds, but insect play a significant part in pollination. So if this scenario continues, so we will lose, or will the insect become extinct before even we know. For example, what happened with dinosaurs. Okay, that was a natural calamity. But here, what we are thinking that uh, we are saying that we don't know about 90% of insects, and on top of that, all degradation, deforestation, and because the human interventions, if the things are becoming complicated, we won't be able to understand the true diversity. The third and most important thing is there are no taxonomists, in India. There are only a handful of I'm not an insect taxonomist. What I have described is just how I came across, and I studied a little bit, and I found out that this is something very interesting. But hardcore taxonomists are very few. I don't think there are 500 hardcore taxonomists, insect taxonomists working. Though it's the most diverse group of insects, unfortunately, we don't have taxonomic expertise. That is why research is very slow. Okay, so and where it affects. So whenever we need to do a biodiversity assessment for future management, we won't be able to portray the insect picture correctly because we don't have that expertise. So this is where it really hampers. Okay, so uh, so that Potita and Adler said in 2009 that scientific community must increase their understanding of the science of insect diversity and taxonomy to ensure the importance of biodiversity for a sustainable future of humanity. The most important word, sustainable future of humanity. The more we know, the better for us. Okay, and last slide. Of course, I can't bypass this man. You know, we often there's a he famously for this thing postulated that survival of the fittest thing, but we most oftenly we take survival of the fittest in a wrong way. I can give one example. It is off the topic but very important. If you are seeing a lion hunting down a deer, if the deer get killed, what we say generally, okay, land is the fittest, that is why it is surviving. No, that is not a survival of the fittest. Okay, survival of the fittest is the deer, which in all previous occasions, because it could escape from the lion's, you know, uh, you can jaws or anything. That is why it could survive. Otherwise, what will happen? All lions can eat all the deers, and there will be no deers. Deer population would have extinct millions of year back. No, that is not happening. There are deer, there are lions. So what is this? It is the adaptability. Okay, it is not the strongest of the species which survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. The one which is most adaptable to change. That is what is called as survival of the fittest. And this is what insects are doing. That is why they are the most diversified group of insects, the most successful evolutionary unit of biodiversity. And that is why they are there. They are everywhere. They are except oceans. Insects are everywhere, from land to equator to polar regions. Insects are everywhere. So I thank you all. I thank you, Napoli Urban Bank Senior Science College. It's my college. Uh, to giving me the opportunity. It's feeling really good to come back to the extended family. Mm, I was there in 2000, exactly 20 years back. I was there, fifth or sixth batch. At that time, when this new building was under construction, um, to the management of the Napoli Urban Bank Senior Science College, I'm really thankful to Principal Dr. Jagdai sir for organizing such a wonderful workshops, webinars, and I can see with their effort, the number is hundreds of people are there watching me patiently. And uh, lastly, all the teachers, More sir, Galmi sir, all the teachers, all the dear teachers of mine, all the staff and friends, student friends, I thank you all from BNHS, from my side, and I thank you for listening me quietly, not disturbing. There was no disturbance, thankfully. We'll take some questions. So if you have anything, you can ask me right now.
Sir, we have some questions in chat box.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
Okay. So we have a question from Pushparaj Shetty. So
Mhm.
the question is, do we have a digitized database of insect specimens preserved at BNHS?
Pushkaraj Shetty, thank you very much for your question. A very important question. Unfortunately, right now we don't have a database, But since last 2 years, we have received a funding for digitization of entire museum. More than 140,000 specimens are there. Unfortunately, due to last 2 years, pandemic is hampering our work. That is why we are not able to complete the in IT infrastructure. But we are on the road. Within next 2 years, all these specimens which are there, you can easily access freely online. Meanwhile, if you need anything, you can email me always. I'll be there to share whatever information you require. So, Pushkara, that is your answer.
There is one more question from Sheetal Fatkare. The question is, the monarch butterflies are in the endangered zone. What is the main reason for low population of monarch butterflies, and there is any effect of their declination on other organisms' life?
Very good, Sheetal. Unfortunately, monarch butterflies are new world butterflies, not found in old world, not found in India. But doesn't matter. You can apply this question to any insect, or rather any organism. The recent research is showing that insects are on the verge of declining. So, a monarch is not an exception. What is happening? Monarchs, they migrate into masses. If you have seen, if you have read about monarch butterflies, they migrate in the masses. So what happens? They are in case of a large mortality, that affects the entire population. Okay, so if there is a habitat disturbance or defragmentation, habitat fragmentation, that of course affect the migratory path, and the rate of death is increased, and that is how the number is going down and down. And of course, because monarch is a food for other organisms, birds and reptiles, or other insects. So if their number goes down, or their pollinators, so if their number goes down, the other insects which uh, 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 depend upon them, maybe predator or pollinators, their numbers also get affected. So yes, of course, their number, if they are going down, the others will definitely get affected. Yes.
There is one more question from Sheetal Fatkare, which is, insects always do the destruction of crops, foods, and other things. There is any important role of insects in ecological balance?
Yeah, of course. As I told you during the end of my presentation, that our entire existence is depend upon insects. So, see what we do. As I told you in the beginning, that we human beings, we see the world in our perspective. We think that they are destroying the crops. No, they are not destroying the crop. They are eating their own food. Now we have chosen that particular plant as our food, and we are doing a mass cultivation. And then when they eat this kind of agriculture crop, we think that they are destroying the food, but they are actually playing their natural role into the cycle in this food chain. Okay, so ecological balance, of course, as this is the most diverse and most rich and more most populated thing. So insects are eaten by many of the animals, and insect also eat many of the animals and plants also. So of course there is a balance. Even even mosquitoes, they are vectors and all. So they are actually controlling the human population. If you see the death, the deaths because of insects like flies and mosquitoes are within top five, like for cancer and all. If you see all the causes of death of human beings, insects are within top five. So of course there are a lot of things, and they are excelling. Our knowledge regarding the ecosystem and all. So yes, they play a vital role. Without insect, there will be no ecosystem. So it is other way around. Okay, so they are not playing important role in the ecosystem. Insect is an ecosystem without which we can't live.
Uh, I think there are no more questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such
Yeah,
an
just
informative
before before concluding, again, it was my sincere try to give you a glimpse of insect world. It is humanly impossible to cover this topic. That's why I have not dived deep into more technicalities, but I have kept it simple. Thank you. Over to Priya.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. And the Department of Zoology is very thankful to Mr. Rahul Koth, sir, for accepting our request as a resource person for today's webinar. All the
Just a minute. There's a one question from Tejal Parab, and he has sent a reminder. What is your opinion on mosquito who suck our blood? They are doing their work. Okay, not all mosquitoes suck the blood. Only females suck the blood. That is why it is required, because it is required for laying the eggs. And what is the use of mosquitoes? What's the use of mosquitoes in ecosystem? You can give one example. There are bats, the small macro bats. There are certain species which are entirely depend upon mosquitoes. A certain species of bat can devour 3,000 mosquitoes in one night. So if that entire food source is not there, that bat species or group of bats will get extinct if they won't able to find the replacement. So mosquitoes are doing their work. Uh, if we allowed water to stay around us, if we are not cleaning the things around us, then the number of mosquito go up. So my opinion, like each and every insect is important, no matter whether it sucks blood or whether it sucks plant material. They are vital for our survival. Yeah, over to Priya. That was the last question.
Thank you, sir. All the participants are requested to fill up the feedback form of the webinar, which is shared on the group as well as in the chat box. And we are also expressing here the wholehearted thanks to all the participants of the webinar. And thank you so much, sir. I think
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think we can end the webinar.
Thank you. Thank you.